If you only knew what was on the other side, if you only knew who you would become, if you only knew what this season was propelling you into, you will remain steadfast. It feels painful. It feels like things are coming up for you, are arising for you. Childhood trauma, belief systems that are in contradiction to who you're becoming are starting to evoke themselves again. You've done the work, you were healing, and now you feel like you're falling backwards. If only you knew, if you remain steadfast, if you keep holding on to the promise, if you keep if you remain in line with the vision, but you're only about to walk into the land of milk and honey, how would you see this season? Perspective. I want to assure you that the Lord sees you. He is with you. He is not forsaking you. And in today's video, I am going to reveal 5 Bible verses that will help you stay anchored in faith in the seasons of tests and trials. Now, let's get this straight. Our Father who loves us is not in the business of tempting us. However, he does test us. In the word of the Lord, James 1:13, God doesn't tempt us. He makes that clear. But in John 15:2, Jesus said, and Jesus does tell us, every branch that does not bear fruit, he prunes, so that he will be even more fruitful. So your fruitfulness is dependent on how you manage this season. Your fruitfulness and the impact of generations to come is dependent on how well you're going to manage this season of your life. Will you wallow in sadness? Will you develop a bitterness and a resentment to the Father? Or will you incline further and further to his will? Will you push and increase in your vulnerability in your quiet place? Like we see with Abraham and Isaac. Abraham's faith was tested by God when he heard the Lord say that he has to sacrifice his only son Isaac. Through his obedience, God revealed to himself as Jehovah Jireh. Sometimes our seasons are actually revealing a new character of who God is in our life. They are growing us and maturing us. Like a good father, the Lord disciplines us in love. The enemy's role in tempting us is to weaken us, is to distract us, is to take us off course from our aligned calling. It is to cause us to perceive our Father in a different way, in a light that isn't true. Remember Matthew chapter 4 verses 1 to 11. When Jesus was led into the wilderness by the Spirit of the Lord, he was tempted by Satan, but guess what? His goal was to derail him from the mission that the Lord has him on. It was to cause him right at the beginning to not be empowered to do the very thing that was going to save humanity. The enemy is always looking for an opportune time, and we must not give him a foothold. In the beginning of the breakthrough, just before you're about to enter into the breakthrough, he's trying to derail you and have you off course out of God's original intent and plan for your life, so as to take you on a complete detour. In the middle, okay, you've decided to start the thing that the Lord has told you to do. Right in the middle, he will bring things to distract you so that you grow complacent, so that you grow weary in doing good, because everything that the Lord has for us, oh God, the aim and the intent is not just for you. So sometimes there will be an element of long suffering. There will be so much self-control and discipline. And what he will do is to try and wear you down, get you complacent, and even have you get into shiny object syndrome. You're just like, okay, let me find something else to do. Stay the course. And right at the peak of breakthrough, pride comes before the fall. So sometimes he will wait until you rise up into the very thing that the Lord has called you into. We've seen this many a times with great men and women of God, CEOs, entrepreneurs, right at the pinnacle of their greatness. Pride comes before the fall, and they come tumbling right down. Now, before the breakthrough, If you feel like you've been having dreams about birthing ideas, the Lord has planted certain seeds in your life, and you're like, this is my season, and you're getting stirred up in the spirit, remember, the enemy who is seeking to kill, steal, and destroy is trying to start from the beginning. Just before you're about to ever launch your new ministry, just before a promotion, just before, sometimes he will come just before the breakthrough. You have to get your sword of the spirit and start to speak to him the truth of what you have seen. Come against every orchestration that is seeking to prevent you from taking the course that may be difficult, that may be long, but actually the fruitfulness for the kingdom and for you and your family is so abundant that he can perceive that. So you have to remain steadfast. Just before the breakthrough, he did it with Jesus. In the middle of the journey, if we're not careful, we can become so complacent. Instead of being an assignment and doing the very thing that God has called us to do, we become distracted. We lose our sobriety and our vigilance. So we see this in the life of David, when he was meant to be on the battlefield as a king, as a warrior, fighting for the people of God. He decided not to go onto the battlefield and he stayed back. This created an opportunity, a foothold for the enemy, which caused him to deviate his course and to get distracted with Bathsheba. We even see this with the people of Israel on their way to the promised land. In the middle of the promised land, they're whining and they're complaining and they're doubting God and the service to other things that we think are going to be the thing that are going to enable us to become or get the things that we desire. We get distracted by those idols, only for them to disappoint us and waste time on our path to the promised land. What was meant to take weeks ended up taking 40 years. Let that not be so in our life. So here are 5 Bible verses to support you in the test. We're going to start off first and foremost with James chapter 1, verses 2-4, where it reads, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds." Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds. So we already know that trials are coming. The word has made it clear. We are not void of the experiences of living and existing in a fallen world. But it says, consider it pure joy. Because, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously. And if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. This is a mighty piece of scrumptious right now. This is scrumptious material. I remember in the middle of my testing, I would just meditate on this one line: let perseverance finish its work. Let perseverance finish its work. Lord, let perseverance finish its work in my life. Lord, I am pleading, oh God, that, Lord, I will walk in maturity. Lord, I pray for maturity and completion. So, Lord, I'm going to let perseverance finish its work in my life. I was standing in there on this word that, Lord, you are with me. You haven't forsaken me. You are with me in this test. So let perseverance finish its work, because I want to be more like you. I want to look like you. I want to smell like you. I want to have the aroma of Jesus Christ. So let perseverance finish its work. So this verse reminds us that actually the tests and the trials are meant to grow us. The tests and the trials are not to destroy us, but they are here to mature us, to allow for our faith to be fully complete. Another amazing verse is Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah chapter 40 verses 31. Isaiah chapter 40 verses 31. But those who hope in the Lord, he will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. So let's keep our hope alive. If you're in the beginning